Democrats are trying to lure back men who've abandoned them in droves. Is Michelle Obama the new Jordan Peterson? Recently, California Governor Gavin Newsom issued an executive order addressing the, quote, masculinity crisis, telling state agencies to look into why men are killing themselves so much and, more important, why they're not voting for Democrats. Now, this is funny because men don't have a crisis. It's left-wing policies like California who gave men a crisis. As of Joe Biden's last day in office, real wages for men had been flat since 1979. Manufacturing lost 7 million jobs since 1980, with 80% of layoffs hitting men. One study found 7 in 10 workplace DEI programs specifically target men for elimination. In some counties, over 60% of prime-age men without a degree are out of the labor force. They're not working, they're not going to school, they're not doing anything. In fact, labor force participation by men is the lowest in American history. Men make up 73% of alcohol deaths, 93% of workplace deaths. Men are 4 times more likely to be homeless. Suicide rates for men are the highest since the Great Depression. In fact, they're 4 times higher than women. Suicide rates for veterans, who are 90% men, are 50% higher than the rest of the population. Of course, men get little help or sympathy. Instead, they're under constant assault. 60% of male college students say they are, quote, afraid to speak freely on campus. 1 in 3 young men say society views them as, quote, toxic. One study found 90% of mainstream media articles on masculinity frame it as, quote, problematic. Another study found TV ads portray fathers as competent in just 1 in 10 of ads. 65% of divorces are initiated by women, and men lose custody in 85% thanks to loaded courts. This all becomes a vicious cycle. Fatherless children are up to 20 times more likely to be incarcerated, and 85% of juvenile offenders, who are themselves overwhelmingly male, grew up without a father. Of boys who grow up without a father, their suicide risk doubles. So it's rough, and it's going to take a lot more than an EO. And how do they fix it? Simple: the economy, especially for blue collars, and the culture. One of my favorite episodes of British India, Colonel Charles Napier banned the traditional Indian practice of throwing widows on their husbands' funeral pyres, so-called sati. Local leaders complained that it's their culture, to which Napier responded, quote, burning widows may be your custom, but my nation also has a custom. We hang men who burn women alive. You follow your custom, I shall follow mine. In other words, men have our culture, our customs. Progressive harpies at the New York Times have theirs. Live and let live. The harder part is reversing 5 decades of crushing, exporting, and migrant swapping men's jobs. Trump is doing his best with taxes, deregulation, and, of course, the big, beautiful tariffs. But refertilizing the Rust Belt with new manufacturing and startups will take trillions of dollars and an end to the green war on manufacturing. Happily, history shows men will put up with a lot so long as there is light at the end of the tunnel. Simply knowing help is coming can start to reverse the tide. As for Newsom, it's good to hear a Democrat finally noticing men. Hopefully it comes to more than a campaign slogan. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.